Do a quick what's new unboxing here. I found this at a local Walmart. It's a Naruto blind box. Comes in this circular canister with the infinite Tsukuyomi on the front here. Looks like there's a few possible characters that you can get from this sort of Naruto Shippuden story arc, but thought it'd be interesting to open one and see what's actually inside, and then you can decide if you want to buy one or not. Is a metal tin, and there's a couple of little bags on the inside. We've got here, this is maybe the catalog. Yeah, it shows this, which doesn't really tell me what you can get other than the characters, not exactly what they look like. There is a folding type thing here. I guess you can fold this different ways to see different images. I'm not really sure exactly how that's supposed to work, but okay, there's that. A couple of internal bags. Let's see what's in this one first. These may just be accessories for the figure. I think this is going to be one of the Akatsuki based on those. Yeah, it's this guy whose name I totally forget at this point. And let me see if I can figure out how he's supposed to be assembled. It's like that goes there, and probably that goes like that. This might be the Sage of the Six Paths, or it's been a while since I've watched this far into Shippuden, but here's the little figure that I got. Apparently you can also get Naruto and Sasuke, and it looks like 3 other Akatsuki, as well as a rare Susanoo and Kurama. Those would have been cool to get, but I got this guy. I don't know that I've ever necessarily seen a toy or figure of him before, so that's kind of cool to get. Okay, it's Blocky's opening time again. I've got 4 new ones here. I seem to keep finding them, even though I don't have a sort of steady source of them. But I find them here and there, and when I do, I kind of have to get some, because who knows when I'll see them again. Now, what I've got here is something a little bit new. At least it was new to me. The typical ones that I've been buying are the Galaxy version. This seems to be the main one and sort of the middle-sized one. There are some much larger blockies that you can buy in sort of the non-blind box form. But I don't have any of those yet. But there's also the smaller Galaxy Defender version, and then what I found this time is the Shining version, which seems to be a little bit larger than your average Galaxy version. This is an 06. I've opened one of these before, and I got Sunstreaker, but there's a number of other good ones that I could get in this box, so we'll see who he ends up being. But I've got Shining versions 1, 2, and 3 here. So we'll see what we get. In version 1, it looks like there are 5 possibilities, including Optimus Prime and Megatron, but also Ratchet, Jazz, Cliffjumper, and Acid Storm. Now, some of those have shown up in the Galaxy version before, and I believe some have not. So what we can maybe get is a new character in a slightly larger form. But let's go ahead and see who we've got in our first package. And it looks like we will find out. We have got, I'm going to say, it is a Ratchet, yes. So I already have a Ratchet in his Galaxy size, so we will see what I may decide to do with Ratchet #2. We'll get him put together, and you'll be able to see what he looks like. So that was from Series 1. Here's Series 2. This one can potentially have Optimus Prime, Grimlock, Sideswipe, Sunstorm, that would be interesting, Beachcomber, another cool one, and Soundwave, also pretty cool. So let's go ahead and see who we've got in this one. I like to get at least one from each series that I see. It's like someone with some red colors, so that would be Sideswipe. Again, I think I already have a galaxy-sized Sideswipe, so not the most interesting one that I could have gotten, but there's our Series 2. So let's hope for someone new in Series 3. Now we're seeing some of the more different ones. There's Shattered Glass and some from IDW. That's the comic book series. There's a Tarn, a Bumblebee, and a Ramjet that we could also get. So we'll see who we get here. I might like the Ultra Magnus, even though it's Shattered Glass. It's still Ultra Magnus, and that's pretty cool. And we have an Optimus Prime, or really an Orion Pax. Doesn't have one of the usual identifying discs in this one, so I don't know why that is, but yes, this would have to be an Orion Pax. I can tell from these parts that I've got an Orion Pax, so that's another cool one that we've got there, but still not anyone super cool or someone new. So let's hope we get something good in our Galaxy 06. Definitely would like the Swoop in either of his forms, although I'll be pestered by my kids who will want that for sure. But let's see who we get this time. It'll also be interesting once I get these assembled to see how these Shining versions compare against the Galaxy version, since I'll have the same character a couple of times over between those. It's not another Sunstreaker, so that's good. It is a Wheeljack, so that's pretty awesome too. Another of my favorite characters. And yeah, he's pictured there. So this will be cool. I do have a Transformers 1 Wheeljack, but this is a G1 Wheeljack, so that'll look pretty cool too. So I'll get these assembled, and we'll take a look at what they look like. Okay, so quick update. After putting these guys together, I figured out what shining means. It's actually literal, as in they light up. So once you put one of these guys together, you can give him a little shake or a tap, and then he'll light up. And it's pretty cool. Some of them have a translucent chest and eyes like Ratchet here. So that's our shining Ratchet, and shining Sideswipe is also really cool. I can get him to come on. Oh, there we go. It's a little bit less obvious, but his eyes glow, and that's pretty cool. He's also neat. He comes with his rocket pack from one of the early episodes of the G1 cartoon. And then this is actually an Orion Pax, but he'll light up as well. And he has a bit of his battle platform gun array on his back, so that's pretty cool too. So there's your shining blockies. So I've got something really awesome today. I don't think a lot of people remember the Disney movie The Black Cauldron. Came out in around 1985, 1986, and it was a fantasy adventure type story, actually based on this series of books called the Prydain Chronicles by Lloyd Alexander, not unlike many other Disney movies that are based on some children's literature. Um, Recently, I found that they've created some Black Cauldron pops, and while I don't collect a lot of pops, there's really been nothing around the Black Cauldron in a long time, and this was a movie I really enjoyed as a child. So the set comes with three. There is Taran with his magic sword, and the Ilanwi with Gurgi. So he's actually a separate little pop figure. And then there's the bad guy, which is the Horned King. And he comes with Creeper, another character from the movie, although Creeper, unlike Gurgi, is not separate. He's attached, and the Horned King is holding him. So we have those three. Now, this is probably not a well-known, Disney movie, but I really enjoyed it. It had, kind of all of the things that a young boy would like, a pretty girl, a magic sword, a fight against evil and the fate of the world at stake. So, all that great stuff. But the books were a lot better, which I found when I was a little bit older, and I would definitely recommend finding these and reading them if you can. There's a number of stories, about these characters and, everything that happens to them and all the adventures that they have. And, ultimately they grow up and you find out what happens to them. So, this is one of my favorite book series of all times. But um, if you like the Black Cauldron, like I do, it's nice to finally get some something to show for it. And where's Fluter Flom? I mean, if you had him, you'd have the whole team together, and everything would be perfect. But I'm happy with just the three that they made. So this just came the other day. It's a little bit early, but I'm super excited about it. This is the Onyx Prime figure from the Age of the Primes series, and pre-ordered this a while ago. It looked super awesome, and from what I can see on the packaging and through the box, it is super awesome. He seems to have these three forms. One, his robot form, another kind of half and half centaur form, and then a full-on beast form. And Onyx Prime is one of the 13 original primes, who is sort of the progenitor of all of the Beast Wars and Beast Machines Transformers, everyone who has some sort of animal form. And he seems to have kind of every animal form. He's got wings and fur and fangs and an animal face and claws and hooves. I mean, this guy's got just every kind of animal part that you could imagine going on, and yet it all seems to work together. So I'm going to take him out here, and we'll look at his robot form, and then I will go ahead and take him through his transformations. And I think I'm going to leave him in his centaur form because that just looks, kind of cool and unique. He's also got this staff or spear type weapon, which I can show you if I can get it out. It's quite secure. And this is what that looks like. And then he's got this thing. Maybe that's a tail that goes somewhere. So let's take a look and see what he ought to look like in his robot form. First, one piece that kind of fell off, and doesn't want to go back on, but there it is. All right. And I was a little worried from the pictures that I wouldn't like the way his face looks, but it actually looks kind of like a normal Transformers face, just with this elaborate helmet on that is kind of in half bird and half like fangs. So that's again just a lot of different animal parts that he's got going on, and still not sure about this tail, but I guess that's why they make instructions. So here is in his robot form, first of three forms for Onyx Prime. So here is Onyx in his what I think is kind of a centaur form. He has four legs and two arms, and his tail and spear transformed into this super sweet bow that he can hold. So this is his second transformation, which is also pretty cool. And here is Onyx in his full beast form. Again, wings and like a dragon face, and he seems to have like gorilla paws and then hooves. I mean, there's stuff going on all over the place with this guy. And then, so in this form, he's kind of a six-legged beast. And then the instructions show there's actually another transformation that you can do to put him into a fourth form. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like next. And here is Onyx in his fourth form, also a full beast form, and similar to the other one, just in the difference being that his extra hooves have disappeared, and now he's kind of a four-legged animal instead of a six-legged animal, but still pretty cool. I'm really happy with this figure. It is really awesome looking, and has a lot going on with it. And four different transformations is pretty awesome too. So pretty cool Onyx Prime. Recently, I've been getting a lot of Transformers, making a point to collect ones that have a wolf alternate form. And I found this one. This came out a little while ago during the Transformers Beast Wars movie, if you recall that. And this one, like many in this series, contains a sort of well-known Transformer along with an animal companion, in this case, Chain Claw. Now, the original G1 Chain Claw was a beast form pretender who actually turned into a bear, not any sort of wolf or other type of animal. This Chain Claw I've just seen identified as a canine, which could mean dog, or could mean wolf. You'll have to make your own decision on that one. But I don't know of any other Transformers that turn into dogs, although there's a few that turn into wolves. So my guess is he's probably a wolf. But what really sold me on getting this guy, and what makes this set super awesome, is that our Chain Claw here, his alternate form, his weapon form for Optimus Prime, is as a chainsaw. And I have never seen a Transformer that has a chainsaw as a weapon before. One of the um, Metroplexes from the Unicron trilogy has this super big, like, circular saw on a stick. It's pretty sweet too, but this chainsaw is a pretty awesome weapon for Optimus Prime to have here, and presumably use to carve up some Decepticons. I mean, this guy looks like he's ready to play some old school Doom from back in the day, like I used to play on my old Pentium 100, where you'd run out of shells for your super shotgun, and you run out of guns or bullets for your pistol, and all you could do is whip out your chainsaw and go around like a madman, carving up a bunch of zombies. Yeah, and demons. That's what this Optimus Prime, with his chain claw, is ready to do. Today I have a new figure from Age of the Primes, and this is Sideways from Transformers Cybertron, which I've watched on Pluto. Um, Sideways was an interesting character. He was introduced in one of the earlier parts of the Unicron trilogy, and this was the form he took within Cybertron. He is a bit of a, well, someone who plays both sides, right? So while primarily aligned with the Decepticons, he's not above pretending to be an ally for the Autobots and trying to use that to get some advantage. In the earlier program, in the Unicron trilogy, he actually transformed into more of a motorcycle, and that was pretty cool. But his form in this mode is more of a jet, and we see a few things here. Since this is Cybertron, we have a cyber key, and he also has this kind of neat crossbow looking type weapon, and you'll see it has an Autobot symbol on it. On the show, he could change that and pretend to be the other faction, and indeed, you can switch it here, and now he can, pretend to be a Decepticon. But let me get him set up with all of his accessories. And this is what our assembled Sideways looks like in his robot form. He's got this pretty cool blade looking thing, and of course his pretty sweet crossbow type weapon with his cyber key. So it's a pretty cool looking figure. Interesting, face, and the black on orange is a cool color scheme for him. So I think it's always good to get another Decepticon in the display, since they're usually pretty much outnumbered by the Autobots. But yeah, this one is a pretty cool looking figure. This next figure I've got is another Age of the Primes Transformer. Just picked this up at Walmart, and it is Excellion. He is a Decepticon. I don't remember him appearing in the show, but his biography describes him as being one of the racers on Velocitron who appeared in several episodes that, were centered around racing for prizes and cyber planet keys that were present on Velocitron. So it's possible he might have shown up in the background or something and just not been very visible. The packaging shows him as being a Decepticon, but actually his badge on the figure shows him as an Autobot, so not quite sure what his alignment is. Most of the Velocitrons were neither Autobot nor Decepticon, but in toy form, they probably want to assign a faction to everyone. It's always good to get some more Decepticons when you can, since they're usually outnumbered by the Autobots, and that balances the display a little bit. This one is also based on the appearance of Hotshot from, again, Transformers Cybertron. So Excellion here kind of looks like a recolored Hotshot, but still still pretty cool looking. I've almost got a hot rod vibe to them with the red color and flames, and even some tail fins that are similar to what you see in your typical hot rod. And flip these up, I think, is how he's supposed to appear. And I believe that, like other figures from Transformers Cybertron, he will have a cyber key, which in the show could unlock special powers and abilities that Transformers would have. And there is his cyber key. And he's got this weapon here. So all together, this is what your Age of the Primes, Transformers, Cybertron, Excellion looks like. Okay, for today, for what's new, I got two awesome things. First of all, I have this Autobot symbol that I made with a 3D pen. If you've never seen one of these things, it's kind of like a really cheap 3D printer type thing. And you feed this floss into it, and you spit it out, and you kind of draw with the pen. So, of course, I did the Autobot symbol, and look, I mean, it's a perfect match for an actual Autobot symbol. I nailed it first time. You can't even tell that this isn't, official, licensed product. So then I also found, this is pretty cheap on Amazon. It's a Ravage that transforms into an actual USB drive. And the only reason I got this is because it's actually a really good Ravage, even better than some of the toys, just in terms of the likeness and how it looks like the original G1 Ravage. The only issue I have with it is you can't shut his mouth. It just always falls open, but I guess it's kind of neat anyway. So it is a working USB drive, so I will no doubt use it to store some Transformers images and shows and other Transformers related media upon it. And see, there you go. And then you can use this little slider to stick out the USB port and stick it into your computer and fill it up with Transformers media. So there you go, Ravage USB drive. Here we are with another episode of What's New. I got one new Transformer here that I bought yesterday at a store in Dormont called Retro Eden, which has a lot of cool stuff. Some G1 Transformers, a whole bunch of other stuff. Small store, but really neat, and you should check it out. This is a 2004 Stormjet from Transformers Energon, and in that version of the show, Stormjet formed kind of the main body of Superion Maximus. So this guy is a little bit similar to Silverbolt from the original G1, but this one has its own look and really cool appearance. So here's our Energon Stormjet, and he did not come with any instructions, but I think I can figure out how to change him into his jet mode, which from what I've seen looks really cool. Just gotta figure out how to get the head in here. That's a little tight. Doesn't want to go. Oh, this comes up. Oh, look. In here is the larger head that you would use when he is forming Superion Maximus. Oh, wait. If I turn the head around, there we go. That's the secret. As Superion was known within that show. All right, so that's kind of the upper part of the jet. Now I think, yeah, this is gonna flip around like this. This is all guesswork, but All right, that's fine. And then, oh yeah, this is going to turn. Okay, so we're getting closer to what the jet is supposed to look like. There, and these are going to turn around a little bit. That doesn't seem 100% correct. I think I've got to do a little bit more with these legs somehow to form the main part of the jet. But, okay. This is... Oh, wait, maybe if I... Okay, this is maybe not 100% correct. I'll have to do a little bit more research, but you can see it is a little similar to Silverbolt with sort of long neck and body, but yeah, the red and white coloring, kind of little reminder of Jetfire, but yeah, this is pretty sweet Stormjet from Energon. Today we have a totally random what's new, showing this Wing Gundam figure that I just found in a secondhand store. Now, this is kind of a mid-sized figure. I have some smaller sized Gundams, and recently they've done some larger sized Gundams. But in this series, this was the only one from Gundam Wing, which is the show that I'm most familiar with. Although in this series you could get Gundams from a few of the other shows that I'm less familiar with. But the Wing Gundam was the main character's Gundam within Gundam Wing, and in the future I'll do some videos showing all of the Gundams that I have. But I just got this one because it's kind of a neat mid-sized figures, and it is a build-a-figure as well, so I get some legs that I'm never going to use. But here's our Wing Gundam in his initial form. He goes through some upgrades over the course of the show, but he's got, this is pretty typical and accurate for what we see. He's got a sword, and he was the Gundam that was armed with a laser weapon. And he's also got a laser sword, like you saw in the show from time to time. So here's our pretty sweet looking Wing Gundam figure. It's a nice, nice addition to the Gundam collection. In today's What's New, we're going to be looking at some new Transformers that I just got from a trip to my local New Dimension Comics. These are kind of loose, used figures, but really cool and really neat. First, I have a Spike in Exosuit figure. I don't have this one, so I'm not sure who or what he came with, but there's another one of those. I got this really nice Scourge figure that is very G1 accurate, and I have to do a little research to figure out where and when this figure came out, but it is a really nice looking skirt, and since, you know, there were any number of sweeps shown in the movie, you can have as many of these as you want in your collection, and they just add to the swarm. This is a Robots in Disguise mini-con, and his name is Dive Bomb, like the G1 Predacon. This is one I was particularly excited to get. It actually goes by the name of Battle Ravage, so another G1 reference, but it's actually a Wolf Terrorcon from Energon, where these things would attack en masse. So another swarm type, but really cool that it's another wolf-looking Transformer. And the last thing I got, just for fun, was this GoBots Rock Lord. Yeah, transforms into a rock. He is actually kind of neat looking, a little bit snake-like in his appearance, and he goes by the name of Tombstone. So I'll be able to add him alongside my other Rock Lord and the Transformers from the Infernac universe, and he'll look like he belongs there. All right, today we're going to be looking at this Transformers 1 Sentinel Prime, which I just went ahead and got. Sentinel Prime was kind of the main bad guy in the Transformers 1 movie, and we've seen different versions of Sentinel Prime, either as just a jerk or an evil character in various Transformer series and shows and such. Wanted this guy to go along with the rest of the primes that I have, just building up my collection of primes. And even though he wasn't really a prime in Transformers 1, he did go by that name. So here's what he looks like in his robot form. It's pretty cool looking with kind of the blue and yellow colors that he has. Not the most exciting Transformers figure that I've ever gotten, but still a pretty neat addition to the collection, and cool to have another prime that we can add to the growing hall of primes. Many of which have come out recently in the Age of the Primes line. So he comes with this neat shield weapon type thing and can transform into a jet form. So there you have our new Sentinel Prime. So as a collector, sometimes you find something that you're looking for or have been looking for a long time, and other times you find something that's super cool that you never expected or even knew was going to exist. And that's the case with this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Casey Jones figure. This is actually based on the appearance that he had in the very first live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, which for the time was actually a really good movie. Like some of the other ones you watch, even some of the more recent ones, are a little bit strange or not that great of a movie, but this movie really was a well-made and well-put-together movie. And even though, the animatronic turtles were a little bit goofy looking, being the kind of state of special effects that you had at that time, it's still a very, very watchable, very enjoyable movie. But Casey Jones is always a super cool character. One of the few humans who fights alongside the Ninja Turtles in many or all of the various Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series. He just has this super cool look to him, and just this really neat idea or aspect to his character, using sports equipment as weapons. This one comes with a motorbike, which I don't remember if he had this in the movie, but I'm assuming he did. Maybe just don't remember that part of the movie. This one actually does not come with a golf bag for him to carry his accessories around in. And there's, the good things about this are how it appears and matches his movie appearance so well. The negatives, I would say, are it only comes with one hockey stick and a couple of baseball bats. Would have been nice to see, some more accessories and weapons for him to use. I'm not sure It comes with this extra mask. So it doesn't seem like you can put that on him or change the mask in any way, but you'll see it does come with a glove. That's great. And the goalie blocker, which he uses for defense sometimes. So there are a lot of points of articulation. So you can do a lot of posing of him. There's various interchangeable hands. So I'm going to go ahead and give him his goalie blocker here. One hand. And then we'll switch him to a hand that can hold a weapon in his other hand. We'll have a pretty cool looking Casey Jones. Always one of my favorite characters from that show. All right, give him a hockey stick since the hockey season is just about to start for us this year. I can find which hand can hold the hockey stick. There we go. So, that's the wrong side. There are a lot of left hands, but only so many right hands. See if I can get a hockey stick in one of his right hands. Or just give up on that and go with the baseball bat. Really would have liked to see a cricket bat, since that was one of the funnier lines from that movie. So I guess another downside of this figure is not that great at holding his accessories. Let's see if this hand can do it. Yeah, not so much. Okay, there we go. There we go. So, here now is our ready for battle Casey Jones on motorbike from the original live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. For today's episode of What's New, we're looking at Micronus Prime. This toy is part of the current Age of the Primes line and has just recently become available in stores, and this one came to me by way of pre-order. Now, prior to this toy, we did have a version of Micronus Prime that came with the previous Age of the Primes line. He was part of this Cloudburst Pretender figure, and hidden inside you would find a very small Micronus Prime, and this is kind of his emblem or symbol of Micronus that I think we'll see again in this figure. So let's go ahead and open it up and take a look. Micronus was one of the 13 original Primes. It's nice to finally get a very nice figure of him. And I believe that what we'll find with this figure is that it's actually a smaller figure inside, somewhat similar to our Pretender, but in this case I think in the form of kind of a battle armor, which from the packaging it looks like also transforms into a vehicle that he can ride on. So apparently his foot comes off, but all right, so here is -1 foot, our Micronus Prime. And I'm correct in my surmising, we'll find the actual Micronus Prime on the inside of this armor, and you can kind of see the same emblem on him there as was used with the previous version of Micronus Prime. Micronus is kind of the progenitor of the Minicons, as they've been seen in various Transformers shows and such. So here is the actual Micronus Prime, just in his robot form. And like I said, the rest of this is an armor that he wears and can transform into kind of a unicycle for him to ride around on. So there you go, Micronus Prime. In today's episode of What's New, we're looking at the Decepticon Flatline. This just arrived. I had pre-ordered it. I have seen it available in Target at least. Flatline is a medic, actually, hence the name. Not a very inspiring name if you're going to see a medic. Wouldn't necessarily want him to be named Flatline, but Flatline is not a very well-known character, and I think this figure may actually be a redeco of a Red Alert that came out recently, and well, actually an Armada Red Alert, I believe, and so that explains why they've gone ahead and made a figure of such an obscure character. He has mainly appeared in the comic books, and even there, not very prominently seen, but it's a cool looking figure with its red and black color scheme. And here you can see our Flatline figure. Now, I had to do a little bit of research to find out something about him. He is a Decepticon, but kind of not very strongly aligned with the Decepticon, and is described as sort of taking his medical responsibilities seriously, more so than his allegiance to the Decepticons, and will actually work with and treat any Transformer who needs medical care, whether they are Autobot, Decepticon, or unaligned, as occasionally they are. So, you know, not the worst, but you still gotta make peace with having a doctor named Flatline. But there you go. There is our Decepticon Flatline. These days, every once in a while, Hasbro will reissue an old G1 Transformer, which collectors like me love to pick up. And the most recent one that I found, which I've only just noticed being available on Amazon, is this G1 Gears reissue, which comes with something, I think very similar to the original packaging. Mine actually came pre-opened, but here is the reissue Gears inside, and it's very nice and bright and shiny. You see the kind of original packaging, and the back has the beautiful tech specs as well as his bio. For comparison, this was my actual G1 original Gears, and so you can see the new one is very bright and shiny by comparison. Um, Hasbro has also released a couple of other gears specifically recently. One was this very nice larger gears that I use in my main collection, and also this large scale retro gears. They've released a few of these, and several have come out recently. They look super awesome, and I'll be showing those in my next couple of videos. But you can see the differences between kind of the remake gears, which has, you know, more facial features, is a little bit more similar to what you would see in the cartoon, versus the retro remake, which is very true to the original in every aspect of its appearance. So just larger and more posable, and also coming with weaponry, which these original G1 mini cars did not. But, you know, as a collector, it's nice to have both, and I think that Hasbro will be continuing to make more in this series, so that'll make a nice collection as well. Still haven't been able to kind of bring myself to take it out of the packaging. It just looks so nice in there. But my new Gears reissue is definitely a cool addition to the collection. So today we're looking at a new version of one of my all-time favorite Transformers, which is Sea Spray. This just came out. I haven't seen it in stores, but I was able to pre-order it from Hasbro, and it is in the line of retro mini cars, of which Gears has also previously been made, as well as a Bumblebee and a Brawn. That's what's come out so far. For comparison, this is my original G1 Sea Spray, complete with broken rotor and everything. And this is the Sea Spray remake that I use in my main collection. You can see it's actually very similar and close to the original Sea Spray, which is not always the case for some of these remakes. But when you compare your original Sea Spray to the retro remake, you can see they're very similar and you know, nearly identical, just larger is, of course, the new one, and more posable, which is also really cool. This comes in some great retro packaging, and on the back, you can see your tech specs and bio, just like back in the old days, which is really awesome as well. So for kind of another addition to this line and building out this part of my collection, getting the retro Sea Spray is really awesome. So today we're looking at another one of the retro remakes of Autobot mini cars that have come out recently. In this case, we're looking at Brawn. This one I have seen in stores here and there, but again, I got it pre-order from Hasbro. Again, it comes in very nice retro packaging with your tech specs and bio on the back. Now, this is a reissue of the original G1 Brawn that came as a keychain, which I have. And if you compare the two, you can see, you know, they've done, again, very accurate face depiction in the retro remake, although Brawn's body in his original form is a little bit odd with these sort of spindly legs and arms. So they have given him much nicer legs and arms in the remake, and of course, larger size and posability. Now, this is the Brawn that I use in my main collection, another remake, and again, you can see the difference comes largely in the facial features, this being more how he was depicted in the cartoon and movies, And this one, again, matching very much with the original appearance, which is what makes these retro remakes so cool. And it's funny, yeah, you can see on the picture how similar in vehicle form the retro remake is to his original vehicle appearance. I'll just transform him like so, and then you can compare those together. But yeah, this is another really cool addition to this line, and one of the main or major original G1 Transformers, Brawn. It's great to see him coming out again. As a child, I didn't have a lot of G.I. Joe toys, especially compared to Transformers. And that's because they were, in fact, banned in our house for reasons I'm not really clear on. So any ones that we got had to come from like a birthday gift that we didn't send back, or something that we tricked our grandmother into buying for us and could get away with. Um, and so these days, I still don't buy a lot of GI Joes, but every once in a while I see one of the ones remade that we did have as a kid, and sometimes I'll go ahead and pick those up. This one I remember is his name is Raptor. He's one of the Cobra forces. He's actually their accountant, bizarrely, although he's a bird trainer now. And I definitely remember getting in trouble for this one. When you come home from your grandmother's with a new toy, it's sometimes a good idea just to keep it hidden anyway, especially if it's a G.I. Joe. But like this one was so cool, I had to play with it, and of course I got caught and got in trouble. But here, this is a new one that they've made recently. I got it on sale on Hasbro Pulse, the Halloween sale right now, and he could fly. One of the few G.I. Joes who could fly on his own. The original one had kind of just cloth wings. This one they've made more mechanized, I think, to make it a little bit more believable. And you just have this cool bird helmet that he wears. Let me go ahead and get his wings out and see what he looks like with the wings on. A lot of the G.I. Joes that they're making these days are much larger than the typical G.I. Joe size from back in the 80s. And they're going through and making a lot of them. I'm not collecting these per se to try and get a full set or anything like that. I just pick up or try to one of the ones that we had as kids. A new Lifeline has just been shown, so that may be one that I get since he's one that I had as a kid. Comes with some claw weapons that you can attach, since he's a bird guy and birds have claws apparently. Let's see if we can get these on. Now, also one of the G.I. Joes, I don't know if this was the case originally. There are some that have an animal companion, like Snake Eyes and his wolf Timber, since, all ninja have an animal companion that they hang out with. But okay, so here he is with his hand claw weapons and his wing backpack. Does look a little bit like like the Falcon or whatever, which is a little different than how the original was. Is much more let's say, bird themed in this figure, but it's still pretty cool, and it, takes me back to uh, playing with these guys when I was a kid. So today on What's New, I've got a couple new Transformers figures to show. Actually, a couple old Transformers figures. They're just new to me. The first one is this hoist. Hoist has been made a few times, and the one I used in my main collection is from 2013. This one is from the War for Cybertron series. It's very, very G1 accurate. I bought this one secondhand, so he's missing a couple of his accessories, but and I already have a hoist, but Hoist is one of my favorite characters. I particularly like the way this looks in vehicle mode. It reminds me of that old G1 Hoist so much, so I just had to go ahead and pick it up. But maybe the more interesting one is this Calcitron. That'll actually look up his name. One of the Infernac Transformers that reminds you of the old GoBots Rock Lord. And I thought I had all of those, but I found this one, which I didn't have and didn't know existed until then. It turns out this comes from an exclusive pack that was either at Walmart or Amazon and came with a couple of other figures that were actually members of the Star Raiders, which, again, I didn't realize. I don't know much about that group. That's something I need to do a bit of research on to understand better. But apparently, he is one of them. But I think I'm going to display him with my other Infernax. But it's definitely a cool figure. I like the color and the way that the head looks, and definitely picking up another guy I didn't know existed is pretty neat. He is based on a couple of the other Infernax, so he's just kind of recolored with a different head, but still pretty cool, and I'm glad to add this to my collection. Check out this sweet Sergeant Slaughter pop that I got. Wow, does that take you back? I don't know why, but Sergeant Slaughter was on both G.I. Joe and a professional wrestler. No idea how that happened. Today's What's New is a little strange, but it is a Transformer. This is Bonsai Tron, one of the G1 Action Masters from 1990. One of the later years of the Transformers is G1 Transformers, and one of the Transformers that could not transform. That's what the Action Masters were all about. Some of the Action Masters were other G1 Transformers from the earlier years, and some were new ones, like Bonsai-tron here. This is, although it's not from Hasbro, it is an official Transformers product made of a separate company that was allowed to do that. And given that I've seen many Action Masters remade, and it's unlikely we'll see another Bonsai-tron, although I do believe there is a version that was a redeco of a bludgeon, as they look somewhat similar. I wouldn't say the same, but he does, as other Action Masters do, come with a partner. In this case, Razor Sharp is his name. And this figure, in true Action Master form, does not transform. You'll see that, like Bludgeon, he does have a somewhat of a sort of samurai-ish appearance. But it is pretty cool looking in any case, and definitely great to get an obscure character that looks very G1 accurate, a character on its own and not just a recolor of someone similar looking, and one that we may not see a remake of again for some time. So definitely cool to get this into the collection. Now, it's interesting with this figure not being able to transform at all. It is built more like an action figure than like your typical transformer, even including some interchangeable hands that you can put on, something you find in a lot of action figures these days. And not the most posable, but a lot of different points of articulation and very posable figure for all of that. So, yeah, you get this sort of samurai-like armor. Yeah, definitely pretty neat. Blockies, blockies, and more blockies. I have to say, I'm kind of getting into collecting these a little bit. At first, I was just picking one up here and there, but now I'm finding them in more places, and they keep adding more series and more interesting characters. So it's getting more and more fun to collect these. This is now all the way up to Series 8 in the main line. There's a few figures here that come from Series 8, like this Blitzwing here, and a few of these are from some of the earlier series. And now I'm finding places where I can buy these not in their original blind boxes, but ones that have already been opened, and then I can just get the ones that I need. So that's a big advantage in being able to put the collection together. Some of the really cooler ones that I've got here are a couple of the Dinobots in their alternate form. I definitely want to get all 5. We got this Sludge, who for some reason comes with these goofy eyes that you can put on him. I also found this Acid Storm, comes from the Shining series, so you can see he lights up. I've got 2 of the Insecticons so far, and also funny is that this Rumble, which comes from the smaller Defender version line, as some of these other ones do, is actually kind of to proper scale with the larger one, so you can just go into the larger series himself. I did get finally a nice Megatron. This is a comic book version, but very G1 accurate, and I love this white Ultra Magnus. You can also find one with him in his armor, still looking for that one. But I did, after all this time, finally get one of the rarer ones. This is a version of Dead Optimus Prime. You can see is half alive and half dead. I forget, this was like 1 in 100, something like that. So a little bit rarer than your average one, but I'll probably keep getting these if I keep finding them. And once I get some of the subgroups put together and complete, I'll be able to show those. Would be great. Right now I only have 1 Constructicon, so I still have 5 to go before I can put them together into a Devastator, but we'll see if I make it that far. But yeah, definitely getting some more and more blockies these days. Today we're looking inside this box that just arrived from Hasbro just today. Inside should be one of the latest additions to the Marvel Legends line. It is a 2-pack of at least 1 character, probably both have not been available in the past, and one of them will be an addition to my Avengers collection. So it's always very nice to get one of the lesser known, lesser popular Avengers, just so you can add 1 more to the collection. And his name is Star Fox. The other character that comes in this 2-pack is the Champion of the Universe, who, at least at some times, was one of the Elders of the Universe, each of which had their own kind of thing that they did. The Collector, the Grandmaster. He was the one who was interested in competition, fighting, just, sports type stuff. I believe he held one of the Infinity Stones at one point in time. Very large figure of the Champion here. as you might expect, is wearing something that looks like a championship belt, but that's not the more interesting of the two. The one I'm more interested in is Star Fox here. Again, a less well-known character. I believe he did appear at the end of the Eternals movie, if anyone remembers that that exists. And he was a member of the Avengers at various times, and for some amount of time. Is particularly powerful in terms of just strength and invulnerability and ability to fly and that sort of thing. But he has some other powers that help him out as well. So, of course, Hasbro has packaged these two together, knowing that, you know, us Avengers fans just have to have Star Fox to add to our collection, and don't really care about the champion, but, you know, of course we have to pay to get them both. So they know what they're doing. It's not the first time that one of these lesser known Avengers has been only available in a 2-pack like this, but that's how it goes. It is a really nice figure. Very, I would say, accurate with his appearance, very detailed in the face, and his costume, which is, yeah, maybe a little bit outdated at this point, is still what you call classic. So, you know, I knew I would be excited, so very happy with Star Fox and the champion. Today we're looking at the latest Transformer to arrive, in this case the Deluxe Insecticon known as Venin. I've mentioned this figure a few times before when we were looking at some of the other Deluxe Insecticons. Of course, in the original G1 toys, he was known as Venom, and for whatever reason has it is currently known as Venin. This is the only one of the Deluxe Insecticons to not have been remade in a nice large form like this until now. He's part of the current Age of the Primes line, and there are 4 Deluxe Insecticons. He is now the 4th. Previously, there was only a very small figure of him that did not look like this at all. So very nice to finally get a good looking Venin. Not sure why his wings are kind of on the front, and then you can flip them around to the back like so. That's a little strange, but that's how it looks. Very neat looking figure with several translucent parts that make it look kind of cool. And of course, it looks like a big insect, so that's neat too. It's got all these legs and wings and stuff. It is very accurate with the G1 Venom, so that's very cool. Let's see what accessories he comes with. A gun and an axe blade. That's interesting. And with those attached, here is what our Venin / Venom looks like. And now, finally, after all these years, I can pair him with these other Deluxe Insecticons and finally have a complete display that looks very much like the G1 Deluxe Insecticons looked all the way back in the 80s. Now, as you may know, my all-time favorite Transformer is Sunstreaker. I just got this. Although I have other Sunstreaker figures, you know, him being my favorite, it was nice to get another one. This one, I'm not entirely sure if this is new or just newly reissued. It is from the War for Cybertron trilogy, so that makes me think it's a little bit older, but I don't recall not buying it in the past. So here it is now. At any rate, it's pretty neat looking Sunstreaker. Oh, and here's some cool stuff in here. It does come with a translucent red decoder, as some of the figures did in this line. And of course, this harkens back to the 1980s when you would use something like this to read your tech specs. Not sure what that's for reading here, but cool to have nonetheless. Here is our Sunstreaker figure. Of course, his trademark yellow color and his very distinctive head are notable for any Sunstreaker. And I believe that, like the original Sunstreaker, he doesn't come with any actual guns, though he did have, you know, missiles that you could fit on his hands. But the packaging shows you can take this part off of his back and kind of use that as a weapon. So always very neat to get a new Sunstreaker, and I think I'll probably put this one in its vehicle form and see how that looks, or this may become the Sunstreaker that I use in my main collection. Haven't decided yet, but here it is, our new Sunstreaker toy. Okay, it is bag clip blind bag time again. This time I'm looking at one that is Magic and Dungeons and Dragons. Of course, both owned by Wizard of the Coast now. It looks like about 5 are from Magic and 4 are from Dungeons and Dragons, although I can't say that for sure. I'm not 100% familiar with all of these, but the ones that I am are Minsk and Boo, who I know from the old Baldur's Gate video game. I don't know if they originated there or came from something before that and were used in the game, but that's where I know them from. And of course, they are a very big and fun part of that game. Definitely would be cool to get one of them, but there's a few others in here that are pretty neat looking as well. So let's go ahead and see what we happen to get. It's actually the first guy that is shown on the back. He's this sort of angel-looking guy known as Elspeth. And I honestly can't tell you whether that's a Magic guy or a Dungeons and Dragons guy. I don't recognize him from Magic, but I'm not a world expert on that. No Minx or Boo, so that's unfortunate, but this guy is pretty neat looking, and we'll have to decide if we take another chance to get one of those that I'd really like. Now, I have many interests. I like many different fictional universes and characters, and one of my favorites is Sherlock Holmes and the original stories and the many different movies and TV adaptations there have been of Sherlock Holmes over the years. So as I was recently in London, I did get a chance to go to the Sherlock Holmes Museum, which is located on 221B Baker Street. It's a very neat little museum, and of course I did raid the gift shop for a number of items. Here is a Sherlock Holmes snow globe that I got for my one son who collects snow globes. I also got a cool bookmark and this neat sheet of stickers of various items that remind you of Sherlock Holmes. I have no idea what I'm going to do with that. At a different store, I did get these Sherlock Holmes playing cards that look pretty neat. And of course, I had to get a Sherlock Holmes pin. So there's something I'll be able to wear in a future video. But the coolest thing is this little teddy bear who comes with all of the Sherlock Holmes accoutrement you would expect: the deerstalker hat and pipe and magnifying glass. So he's pretty awesome. But one of the things I was looking for in the UK was to try and get some UK Transformers comics. I've done a little bit of studying on this, and what is interesting about it, there were 80 Transformers comics in the 80s published in the United States, and all of those were republished in the UK, but not on a sort of one-for-one basis. Since the UK comics came out more frequently, those American ones would often be split across 2 to 4 issues that came out on the UK side. But then, of course, there were a lot of additional UK comics that were not printed in the United States until years later when they were collected and sent over, but not all of them. I'm working on gathering some information and putting a sort of collector's guide together for myself to try and see what I'm missing out of the UK side of things. I was able to visit a couple of comic book stores while I was there, but did not find any UK Transformers comics. Ironically, I did buy one while I was over there. I just bought it online from an American company, and here it is as it's just arrived. This one is one that you can get in one of the reprinting collections. It's part of the Fallen Angel series and comes towards the end, but I just wanted to get one because it's cool to see one and have one. As you can see, they are a larger size than your typical American comic book, more of a magazine size compared to the smaller size on the American side. And while I was in London, I did get to pick up a few others from one of the comic book stores that I went to. I talked to the guy and he's like, yeah, we don't get any of these in. They're, too rare and people buy them right away. So even in the UK, you can't get the old Transformers UK comics. But I picked up a few. Again, you can see they're in the larger size. This was just a Spider-Man, obviously reprinted from the United States, kind of a random one. And the Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, as I guess they were known as in the UK. So here's and I love this. See how it says every fortnight? Yeah, that's awesome. This was March, April 1992. So let's see when that came out. I don't even know what this is. It's called Zoids. I'm going to check that out, but yeah, I have no idea. And this was another kind of random thing, Overkill, I guess a UK series. We'll see if that's interesting or anything good. It does mention Death's Head on here, who's one of the UK characters. You see him there. He did appear in some of the Transformers UK comics, so that's where I know him from. But it's still, kind of neat to see these. You don't see, I'm not sure I've seen any of these over here in the United States. So even though these aren't the Transformers comics I was looking for, it's still cool to see these and have some of them.